It's just my new hat. Don't you like it?
I thought you liked Inside Out too.
Well, I did, but it's not as good as Citizen Kane. But then again, what is?
Pick out 2.
1, 2, go! Why did you do that?
You're welcome.
You want me to take the hat off?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What were we talking about? Inside Out?
Inside Out.
Inside Out. Oh, do it.
This is Joy, coming to you live in Riley's mind. Make some noise! Sadness is in the house!
So we saw Inside Out 2, a feature film by the Disney and the Pixar. Miss Pengrino, what did you think of Inside Out 2?
I enjoyed it.
Sounds like you didn't enjoy it.
So it wasn't like as good as I thought it might be. But it was a pleasant movie. You know how you kind of felt about If was a pleasant film?
Right.
That's how I thought this was.
I'm the complete opposite. We are complete opposites in this because I really liked it. I guess for me, I didn't know what to expect because I actually never saw the first Inside Out movie.
That might be why we're complete opposites.
I guess.
I did.
Yeah, see, I never saw it. So this was the first one that I saw, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's, of course, we did the joke there at the beginning of the episode. I mean, it's not a groundbreaking film. It wasn't amazing, but what it is, it's typical Pixar. And I like it because of that. Because Pixar is basically like the children's version of like a really clever Saturday Night Live sketch. Kind of like those sketches you saw like back in the day where you're like, oh, that's clever. I like how they do that.
Clever.
And it's like, let's do a movie about our emotions because we all have different emotions and they can all have their own personalities, you know? And the way that it all worked out in the movie, and of course, again, I've not seen the first one, but I do know that how it worked in this one, it was really clever. And in the first one, of course, the girl, Riley, she's a little girl, so she only has those emotions that we all have as kids. Now she's getting older, she's a teenager, so she has all these new emotions. It's just, I was like, that's perfect.
Probably why it was just good for me and not like, oh wow, Amazeballs it probably hit a little too close to home.
Because of anxiety?
Yeah, that's how my brain works.
We're going to need to talk about that
on the daily. So it probably just was like too real.
I do want to make mention of that as we get deeper into the episode here, but no, yeah, like it kind of hits close to home, but it made me think because it's like, oh, this girl's going through all this, and I'm like, what she's going through as a teenager, I didn't go through as a teenager. I'm going through it right now as an adult. But everything she goes through in this movie, that's what I'm going through right now.
You have an extra person, aka me, to help you through this.
That's true. Yeah.
I was like her. I didn't have that.
You ain't got no body.
I mean, I had my sister to an extent.
Is that it? Are we going to get strike now?
No. Like, I had my sister to an extent, but she was also going through the same thing just 3 years earlier. So we were both struggling to really help each other with anything. Coming
through a lot at that time.
Yeah.
But no, like, I like the elevation. It wasn't just like the same story because that's the nice thing about Pixar is they manage to, when they do sequels of movies, they manage to flesh out the series and build on characters and growth and things like that. A great example of that is Toy Story. You had the first 2 movies was Andy as a little boy. Third one, Andy's an adult now. So what's he going to do with all these toys? And then he gives them away to the little girl. And then, Woody at this point in the 4th one, he's like, what do we got?
What do we do?
We got a few more years with the little girl. Where we go from there? So like, I'm going off on adventures with Bo Peep. And it's an interesting story. It's an interesting arc for that.
I've never seen past 2, so.
Well, I saw 3. I did not see 4, but I know the story of 4.
Yeah.
And so I know what happens there. But I was like, that's a very clever arc. And it's the same way with this. It's like, okay, you have those emotions. You just as a kid, you have joy, you have anger, you have disgust. You're sad. There's a lot of sadness as a kid.
Back in my day.
That's nostalgia, and that was played by a 94-year-old actress. Nostalgia.
That's great.
That's it was not like someone impersonating an old person. That was a really old person.
This little character comes in on like random occasion, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's like, back in my day. And they're like,
no,
yet,
no,
nostalgia, not
nostalgia.
yet.
And so that's the funny part, because she's nostalgia.
I did have
and they're
to
like,
say, I absolutely love nostalgia.
they're like, no, you still got a few years. and that plays on two things. That was clever too, because we as adults nowadays do have massive nostalgia about when we were growing up and our good, there's a lot of times when I'm.
Grant you, we're in our mid-30s. I don't feel like we should already be at the nostalgia stage. I feel
Well,
like
it's because we had to grow up fast.
that is very true.
Our generation had to kind of grow up faster, and we're not able to. I forgot why we brought all this up, but that's nostalgia. Nostalgia, that's why. But it also works on the level of like nostalgia for like classic movies. There's so many sequels and reboots of stuff, so and the fact that you see nostalgia in a movie, actual nostalgia, so it's a little joke there, a little play on words, and I liked that. But no, that's the funny thing is that we're flip-flopped here. I enjoyed this more than I did If.
Yeah.
I thought this was more fun. I thought this was more fun for the family to enjoy. If I don't know.
I guess because looking at If, it made me feel like a kid again in a good way. Watching this brought me back not so good memories of being a kid for me. So it was real.
Well, knock on wood, I haven't lost a parent, so I couldn't really relate to If. And then again, when as a teenager I was normal. I'm less normal. I'm less normal now as an adult than I was as a teenager. So it works different for me. So I guess I don't have any like big emotional attachment to that.
Because the whole when Joy coming around to her realization at the end as to why anxiety is the way it is.
Spoilers.
The way they are. I mean, it's just going through Joy was going through memories, deciding for Riley what would build herself and what wouldn't build herself. And they realized that all good and bad things build people's self, like your good and your bad memories. And so it just brings me back to when I was younger. It was like, well, did you die? What didn't kill you makes you stronger.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
People might necessarily trigger those as good things. For me, I don't trigger those as good things. It was rough times. So this hit harder for me than I would like a kid movie to hit. If I go see a cartoon, it can have a message that's great. It should. But I want it to be a little lighter.
But was it good?
It was good.
Did it strike a chord?
Too much.
Did you hear people laughing in the theaters? I know I did.
I
heard my parents laughing. I heard children laughing. Was this a good movie?
It was a good movie.
Thank you. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I didn't say it was a bad movie.
But what you're saying is that it was too much for you to deal with, so you're counting off points for that.
Yes.
'Tis confusion.
It's my opinion if I liked it or not. And it's not that I disliked it. It just hit a little too close to home. Sometimes you don't like to relive things like that.
Well, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
But no, but what you're saying though, more to the point, is it made me laugh because truly in my brain, the three the three emotions that are in charge is anxiety, sadness, and envy. That is without a doubt the three emotions.
It is not anxiety, sadness, and envy.
For me?
Oh, you're saying for you that's who's in charge. Sorry.
Why are you the way that you are?
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Okay, so...
No, what I was saying about myself is that in my brain, the three emotions that are in charge is anxiety, envy, and sadness.
What would you say mine are?
Anxiety, and that's it.
Oh, no joy?
Okay, some joy.
Okay.
A little joy, but mostly anxiety.
Anxiety.
Joy is like vice president.
I do think I get a little ennui, too.
He was funny. I liked ennui.
She.
They were funny.
They were funny.
Because I got a little bit of both.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm looking at it as a non-binary they
ennui
them.
could be.
They them.
Wee wee.
Wee wee. They nicknamed them Wee wee.
Wee wee.
You said wee wee?
But overall, the movie was fun. I enjoyed it. I liked the animation. Again, it's another great example of a continuing story from Pixar, because Pixar's hit or miss for me. Like I love Toy Story, Bugs Life, Cars, The Incredibles, but then I kind of was like, with WALL-E. WALL-E's a fine movie. I'm just kind of like, I was kind of like, with Ratatouille and some of the other ones that have come out that I've just not really thought about.
Yeah, Pixar kind of took a turn for a bit.
But Inside Out is really, really good, and it made me want to see the first one.
You should. It's good.
I've not seen the first one. That was the point of that. You kind of gave me a look. The Bigot. The Bigot. Is that what we're going down? Our channel is nuked after this episode.
The biggest characters in that are Joy and Sadness. AKA, I feel like me and you.
Right. No, that's and we switch back and forth. I was talking to my mom because she asked me if that was Amy Poehler that played Joy in the movie, and I said,
and it is. And you said no.
I said no because, as I understood it, there were two actors from the movie that did not from the original movie that did not return, and I swear I thought Amy Poehler was one of them. I was wrong. Bill Hader was one of them who played Fear in the original. You good, bro?
It's really thirsty.
Okay.
Bill Hader did not return, who played Fear in the original film, and the other,
which is a little sad for me.
Yeah, but then the other actress that did not return for this movie was Mindy Kaling. She played Disgust in the original film. This was a different. So I was right, but I had the wrong person.
I will have to say though, the two new people who did play them
kind of spot on.
Spot on, very close to their voices.
I wasn't super familiar with the girl that replaced Mindy Kaling, but Tony Hale, and you may not know Tony Hale, but I know Tony Hale from like Arrested Development and from Veep. And he's a very funny actor, and so he
sounded a lot like Bill Hader.
He took the place of Bill Hader, and it was really good. So Tony Hale was really funny as Fear. In this
will say, to be honest, I don't mind so much that they replaced them because they weren't like as noticeable. If somebody would have replaced Fear or Joy or Sadness, it would have been real rough because that one angry guy who plays Fear.
Put some respect.
I don't know his name. Put his name.
Lewis Black. Put some respect. He's he is a hilarious stand-up comedian, and the reason why he plays anger in this movie is because that's his shtick. Getting mad and he does this all the time when he talks.
You've got nothing to complain about unless he starts humping your leg, and if he does that, just hit him with a newspaper.
So if they would have replaced him, that would have been really sad.
Yeah.
Of course, Sadness is Pam from The Office.
Phyllis.
Phyllis from The Office.
From The Office,
thank you.
Yes.
That would have also been really upset.
Very
because
noticeable.
She's very recognizable.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could replace her, and she is perfect for Sadness. Oh dear.
In that first movie, they were basically like, who from NBC can we just round up here?
Yeah.
Let's get Amy Poehler, Bill Hader, Mindy Kaling, Phyllis, because Mindy and Phyllis were both on The Office at one point, and let's just get Lewis Black was on Comedy Central, but I think Comedy Central has an association with NBC, so there you go. But yeah, I don't know that for sure.
Poor embarrassment. He only got to say like 2 words.
And he was played by an actor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who was he played by?
You wouldn't really know him, but there was a movie that came out a few years ago, called Richard Jewell, and it was Richard Jewell. Long story. Well, let me explain it. Richard Jewell is a real person. He was the security guard at in the Atlanta Olympics when the bomb went off at the Olympics, and for a while he was considered the main suspect, and his name was dragged through the mud and all these horrible, he got horrible press. It turns out completely innocent, and then they ended up finding that bomber a few years later. But he played him in that movie. The actor that plays Embarrassment. I don't know if that means anything to anybody. I said, this is the last episode of Get Real of our last anything on our channel. So goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay, girl, bye. Yeah, literally all Embarrassment at the very end just goes woo woo, or let's do it, and then he gets scared and
that actor got paid millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Actually, no. I think the secondary characters only got paid like $100,000 to $200,000, which is still
$100,000 to $200,000.
Still a nice chunk of change. But
literally, that's like 3 years of work for us.
What my point is, though, is that was the reason why Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling didn't come back, because there was payment disputes. So that's why they didn't come back.
I mean, they're worth a lot more at this point.
They are.
But then again, now grant you their characters were more prominent this time. They should have gotten paid a little bit more, but. Ah.
That got me really wet.
Why I like to be nude.
But it was a fun movie, though, Miss Pengrino, was it not?
It was.
No, I enjoyed it. The voice cast was great. The movie itself was great. You know, is it one of my favorite movies of the year? No, it wasn't. It wasn't like a surprise like Super Mario was last year. Where it was like, okay, I'm blown away. This movie should not be as good as it is. But it's a nice film, and it's Pixar
what do you
back
think
on
about
the
plot-wise? How they like, you know,
That's what I loved about it was that
these new puberty emotions
taking
brought her
over
into a whole internal drama of who she was as a human being.
and kicking out the old emotions and sending them to emotion prison, you know? Like, I love that because that is so true. I mean, that's what normal kids, not me per se, but what normal kids go through as teenagers.
I do have to say, had I seen this like as a kid with like parents to explain, yeah, sometimes this is what's going on in your head and that's okay. It will build you as who you are, and you have to learn to choose what are better options than others. Like,
Yeah.
that, I think it's a good film for that purpose. Like, to really, like, in an easy, fun, chill way to be like, we get it. Your
Yeah.
brain might not be 1,000 bajillion things at one time.
And
that's okay.
And this movie, I don't know if it did, but it gave me anxiety. This movie did. Well, you mentioned it gave you anxiety.
It
Yeah.
did.
It gave me, especially the ending where everything was just going chaos at the end. My anxiety level was, and that's when I said, that's who's in charge of my brain,
Yeah.
is anxiety. Also envy, also sadness.
Yeah. Sadness definitely controls yours the most.
Oh, but baby.
So, would you recommend Inside Out 2?
I do recommend it. Like it's just, I'm not trying to harsh on it. It just was not like the best for me in the sense that like I liked it better. You know, I like less hard hitting things right now.
Highly recommend Inside Out 2.
Still very good though.
But the plot, like I don't think I talked a whole lot about the plot, but the plot was really great. Just, you know, again, going from that first one as a little kid, and now she's a teenager, so these new emotions come in, and they've got to deal with all of that. It's just super clever. Like, it's one of those things. Like, I could have thought of that. That would have been a great thing.
Yeah.
That would have been a great sketch on the Toddcast. But it's like, that's the thing about Pixar is they're that clever. They come up with those really cool ideas. So
BT
highly
Dubs,
recommend it.
pause. 2 seconds on a conspiracy theory. Did you notice that Riley's dad has all male emotions? Riley's mom has all female emotions, yet Riley has male and female emotions. Why do you think that is?
Because it was just easier for mom to have female emotions and dad to have male emotions because they're only in it for like 2 seconds, their emotions.
No.
Some would say because, you know, oh, she's going through puberty, so she's having to feel out herself. Some were saying because there's a possibility she could be bisexual or gay.
It's fine.
Thoughts?
That's possible. I didn't read it that way, but it's possible.
It's just curious as to why, as adults, we would have all of one gender, but as a kid, we have multiple genders.
It's called figuring things out.
Maybe even a they, them.
It's called figuring things out.
It's true.
Well, Miss Pengrino, now that that's out of the way, if you don't mind, if you don't
Okay,
have an
yeah.
issue about
Yeah.
it, I'm going to put my new hat back on.
We'll put your new hat back
Thank
on.
you. It's the, oh no, it's Santa Claus. Ah! Oh! Ah! Ah!
Ow!
Oh!
Ow!
Ah!